Well, it's Friday. It's homecoming. And it is certainly a great day to be a Patriot. Are you sure you're all ready for this? So we have some incredible guests with us today. These are folks who over the years, not too long ago, were sitting right where you are, right? Carroll students just trying to get through the day, thinking about what they were going to do for the game that night and homecoming the next day. And today, they come back to us with incredible stories. Stories of their lives and how they use their Carroll education and the foundation from their amazing families to go out and do good things in the world. It's the Carroll story. It's what we're all about. And we think it's important for all of you to hear their stories, to see that there's life beyond the walls of Carroll High School, and that the work we do here each day is important and matters. And so we're excited to have them here with us today. Unfortunately, one cannot join us, but you'll hear from 6 of them. And I hope that you will learn something from their stories and maybe get inspired in some way, shape, or form. So we'd ask, of course, that you give them your undivided attention, which I know you will. Please be respectful of them and keep your masks up so we keep them as safe and healthy as possible, and enjoy this assembly. I'm going to turn it over to Mrs. Kilby, who will tell you more about our guests.
Don't scare them. Good morning, Patriots. What a great Spirit Week it's been. You did an awesome job all week representing all the themes. What a great blessing it is to come to Carroll High School every day. This place is truly the best place to be. Each person in this building plays a part in making Carroll great. Before we begin our introductions and information about the Distinguished Alumni Hall of Fame, we're going to start with our alma mater. Please stand. Yes. Always great to hear the band. Today we are here to honor the 7 newest members to be inducted into the Carroll High School Distinguished Hall of Fame. I'd like to share with you a little about the Hall of Fame itself, and then I'll introduce you to this amazing group and they will each get a chance to share a message with you. Thank you in advance for being a great audience and listening with care to them. In May of 2006, the Carroll High School Alumni Association established the Distinguished Hall of Fame. This was to be a prominent honor based on post-high school achievement. It was designed for graduates who are at least 15 years out of school. That means for you seniors, 2037, you become eligible. There are two categories for consideration: Alumni Distinguished Patriot and Honorary Patriot. The Alumni Distinguished Patriot Award honors graduates of Carroll High School who have made a significant impact on their communities and professions in one or more of the following ways: academic excellence, career achievement, Christian leadership, dedicated service, heroism, humanitarianism, cultural enrichment. The Honorary Patriot honors those who are not graduates, but who have had a lasting and profound effect on Carroll High School through their commitment to Catholic education and their active involvement in leadership and support of the school. A plaque for each member of the Distinguished Hall of Fame hangs in the junior hallway, what used to be the junior hallway, out there by the new science labs. If you've never had the chance to read those names or see those faces, I challenge you over the course of the next week or so to familiarize yourself with those people who are excellent role models. And remember, you may be among this group someday. This year, as you know, we've remodeled the entryway to the gym, and there's now a kiosk which will contain the biographies of each of the honorees, as well as those who are members of the Athletic Hall of Fame for Carroll High School. We are so excited for you to experience this new technology and learn more about these amazing alumni. The first class of the Distinguished Hall of Fame was inducted in 2008. Second and third in 2009 and 2010. We took a year off to celebrate Carroll's 50th anniversary, and the fourth class was inducted in 2012. Since then, we have rotated every other year with the Athletic Hall of Fame. These inductees have had to wait an extra year to be inducted due to COVID. So they've been very patient. I would like to recognize the members of the Hall of Fame committee. This group set in motion all the necessary preparations for this event. The people on the committee are tireless workers, dedicated, fair, reasonable, and have a great love for Carroll. Please stand when I call your name and remain standing until all names are called. Julie Whites, class of 1994. You should recognize Mrs. Whites as she's in the hallways of Carroll. She's the Director of Alumni and Community Relations. She's an excellent leader and fellow worker, and if you ever need to find her at Carroll, she's on the third floor by the CLC. Jim Fleischer, class of 1985. Jim serves as committee chairperson. The remainder of the committee is Susie Rosilius, class of 1966, Jeannie McManus, class of 1966, Patricia Kretz, class of 1968, Kathy Heeb, class of 1970, Dr. Greg Notstein, class of 1971, Kathy Jackson, class of 1975, Mark Joe, class of 1983, Kim Tim, class of 1986, Amy Whitman, class of 1988, Mark McNulty, class of 1994, Julie Bay, class of 1995, Gwen Stump, class of 1999, and rounding out the committee is me. Not a graduate of Carroll High School, but I've been here for 27 years and counting. Please give them a great Patriot welcome and thank you. As we introduce each of the honorees today, you will see that they are accompanied by a student ambassador from each house. Not only are they being inducted into the Distinguished Hall of Fame, but they are becoming honorary members of a house at Carroll High School. Our first inductee is being escorted by Austin Rodriguez, and he's being assisted by Pamela Olivas, because her person couldn't make it today. So they've buddied up, and he will be an honorary member of Charity House. All right, Charity House, you know what I expect of you. The first inductee is Mr. Tom Hofler. He is our distinguished and honorary patriot. I was privileged to work with him for many years at Carroll and consider him a mentor, as I think many among the staff have done. Tom is Mr. Carroll High School, a true patriot. He believes in heroes and always works to ensure his students believed in them as well. He spent 36 years at Carroll, teaching a variety of courses in the social studies department, including global studies, psychology, U.S. history, all the levels, politics and government, and current events. He had a reputation for caring for others and a genuine concern for all. He worked tirelessly to ensure that Carroll's rich history has been preserved, and his support of Carroll has not diminished despite his retirement. He was always a favorite among the students, and dare I say, among the faculty. His sage advice and words of wisdom live on. Mr. Hoefler graduated from Wright State University in 1973, and he served on the Distinguished Alumni Hall of Fame Committee for many years. Please welcome a true patriot, Mr. Tom Hoefler.
I want to thank the Hall of Fame Committee for their hard work and their recognition. I am deeply humbled and honored. I'm in front of you today next to a group of Carroll alumni that have made a significant impact on the earth. It's going to be a little harder than I thought. Have many fond memories coming back to this wonderful school where I spent 36 years. It was always a very joyful place. I know this recognition is in a large part due to the good people I was around every day. At Carroll, all the administrators were great. The faculty was particularly exceptional. The staff was top-notch, and the student body was full of so many different kinds of kids. It made teaching them challenging, satisfying, and joyful. On Parent-Teacher Day, I always enjoyed talking to parents. As time went on, I would have more and more second-generation people sending their children to Carroll. That was always a memorable time. I attended St. Albert, the great school. I was the third son of 4 boys of Frank and Kathleen Hoefler. I was born in 1946 on Christmas Day. Anybody else in here born on Christmas? Okay. What a day to be born. There are 364 days to be born, but I was chosen to enter the world on a day when peace and joy reign. I know my parents were proud of this. My parents were the first good people sent to me to lead my way. Something new at Carroll since I retired is the house system. One house is charity. I chose this as my house in honor of the order of nuns that taught me in grade school at St. Albert, the Sisters of Charity. They were excellent teachers. And I want to recognize my student ambassador, Austin Rodriguez and Pamela Olivas from the Charity House. My first teaching job was at St. Rita Grade School. I taught 7th and 8th grade social studies, English, and physical education. Very enjoyable. I liked the kids, the teacher, the whole operation of the school. Then I was hired by Father Obermeyer in the summer of 1977 for a teaching position at Carroll. A grade school and high school classmate of mine, Stu Gardner, who was a Carroll High School social studies teacher at the time, had an opportunity to teach in Germany. As the story goes, it was Stu's job to find his replacement. My best friend, Roger Forthover, also taught at Carroll. It seemed perfect. This was when I became a patriot. It was also the start of the rest of my teaching career, and this became a strong continuation of being around good people. I started teaching social studies at Carroll in 1977 and stayed for 36 years. I encountered over 400 different administrators, faculty, and staff. I've had the honor of teaching over 25 Carroll's current administrators, that includes the principal, faculty, and staff. There are a lot of people who come in this building every day and do very impressive things with their teaching skills for students. Their job is to prepare our students for the world. It's pretty awesome when you think about it. I'm grateful for my parents who are in heaven enjoying this. My wife of 48 years, Kay, who is a loving, caring, wonderful wife, mother, grandmother, primary teacher, and author. She's been a tremendous support to me. I have 3 terrific children and their spouses and 7 grandchildren. My son, Tim, and his wife, Sue, and their children, and my grandchildren, Anna and Josh Hofler. My daughter, Jill, and her husband, Eric, and their children, and my grandchildren, Ray and Brandon Bramini. My daughter, Jenny, and her husband, and their children, and my grandchildren, Macy, Mikey, and Julia Benton. I'm accepting this recognition for all the teachers I've had the extreme pleasure to be in their company at St. Rita Grade School, and especially the teachers past and present at Carroll High School. Lastly, I must share this with you. I left Carroll for a couple years. The plan was to move to Florida. Plans fell through. I found a job as a salesman. Wasn't my dream job. I didn't know what to do. I was frustrated. One day, coming home from work, I prayed to God. I was stopped at the light on Wilmington and Patterson. Maybe you know where that is. In my mind, I was taking a bold step. I asked God to help. What should I do? Show me a sign. Show me something. That's when I saw Joe Sens, the principal at Carroll at that time, in his car, heading home from school. But he was really leading me home. I knew at that moment what I had to do. Thank God I had the courage to ask for help. God is ready to give us our deepest desires. Thank you very much from the bottom of my heart. This has been a wonderful day.
I love that man. Our next inductee is being welcomed into Gonzaga House. There you are. By Sam Whitman. Mrs. Amy Menke Logis, class of 1965. Mrs. Logis' passion and life purpose has always been to serve others with intention and enthusiasm. While at Carroll, she helped open the Dakota Street Center, which still provides a wide range of programs for youth and seniors in downtown Dayton. She earned a fine arts degree from the University of Dayton and began teaching industrial arts and art in Dayton Catholic schools. This prompted her to develop and facilitate diversity and inclusion initiatives. Her entrepreneurial spirit led her to found Logis Claim Consulting, one of the largest operating female-owned businesses in the state of Ohio. Her clients range widely from the U.S. Department of Defense to Fortune 500 companies across the world to Notre Dame AmeriCorpus, Pro Group, and many others. Her Women's Leadership Program has been recognized as one of the top 5 programs for women, and she continues to lead and innovate. Her most recent project focuses on sharing the stories of women for multiple generations. Please welcome Mrs. Amy Logis.
Good morning, everyone. Thanks. Okay. 60 years ago today, this very moment. So when they said earlier in the introduction that we had to put it off for a year, I think there was a purpose for that. Because today, October 1st, 1961, we dedicated this school, and I was part of that first class. Now, here's the thing. This whole room is really messed up. Because when we marched in, the boys were on this side and the girls were on this side. We didn't even come in at the same time. We had to come in separately. We were, as we were told in the newspaper between our 8th grade and our freshman year, that we were the first co-institutional school in the Diocese of Cincinnati. Now, our public school friends and Protestant friends told us that that meant we were going to a mental health institution. But we didn't know any differently. And so when we came in and the boys were in their own classes, the boys went to their own lunches, the boys had their own homerooms, and the girls had all of their own with their own teachers, we were beginning to understand what that meant. We wore uniforms, not quite like this, all right? The boys had to wear collared shirts, and we were checked every day when we came in. They had to have ties. The ties, I've never been able to figure this out. They had to have ties that met their belt buckle. They couldn't be too short or too long. I don't know what that was. I think there was some issues with maleness there, but I'm not sure. But anyway, they could not wear sneakers. They could not wear gym shoes. They could not wear jeans. That was just not allowed. Girls wore gray uniforms. We had white puffy blouses. I'm seeing some of the teachers that have gone here. I could tell, like, oh yeah, we all promised we would never wear gray again after we graduated. It's true. And every Friday, so, come here. Could you come? Yeah, my smiling person. Okay, so what'd you do? On Friday, every Friday, would you turn around? No, you can go right there. So can everybody see her? No, go right up here in front. Every Friday, our homeroom teacher would ask the girls to please kneel down on the floor. Yes, please kneel down. If your skirt didn't meet the floor, you got sent home. Thank you. Thanks so much. Yeah. Of course, as soon as we were finished measuring, we would hike up those skirts all over again, right? We'd hike them all up until we saw one of the charity nuns coming our way, and then we would kind of push it down again. So that part of it. We were seniors in 1961, 62, 63, 64, and 65 every year because we were the oldest class every year. I don't know if any of you knew that, but we started out with only freshmen. And then we had freshmen, sophomores, and so forth and so on. And as seniors, you would have thought we were very special, that Father Reese, the first principal, didn't think we were that special. We still weren't allowed to go to the second floor. We still could not go up the front steps until we were seniors second semester, because then he was sure we would graduate. I think that was part of it. Despite being the oldest, we were still not allowed to walk in certain directions, and we certainly couldn't walk with any of the boys. All right. We did have fun. We had sock hops, and some of you are saying, sock hops? What is a sock hop? You do? Oh, great, okay. We had pep rallies. Let me hear it. We had fire drills. How many of you know what a fire drill is? Yes! Yes! And how many of you rolled up the windows on your friends when they were trying to get back into the car? Okay, no, I guess you were a much kinder, gentler group. Okay. We had a band of 11 kids. They had heart. They had to have heart. Because we thought for the first 2 years that when the Saints go marching in sounded like this. When the Saints go marching. I mean, we did not know what that song really was about until later. We weren't as great as you folks are. We were featured in the newspaper at Catholic Telegraph for having one of the very first modern homemaking labs in a Catholic high school nationwide. STEM, it was not. But we were proud, and many of our memories are of the guys using those skills at lunchtime in grand fashion, dressed in suits with cloth napkins, fixing their food and having their own lunch. We had the second McDonald's in the city across the street, 1962, but we were not allowed to go there because the responsibility, according to Father Reese, was that you have to get home, and until then, I'm responsible for you, so we could not go. But just in case you wanted to know how old I am, burgers were 15 cents. Cheeseburgers were 17 cents. Whoa. And it's probably still what it cost. All of our teachers those first 4 years, were nuns and priests, except for Miss Pohl, Mr. Otten, who are our PE teachers. We had to build our own spirit those first few years. So the class of 65 and 66 became close, and they still are today. We didn't have houses like you do back then, but and I want to hear each group, like Baltimore. Baltimore, where are you? Like Baltimore, we became a family. We celebrated all of our successes from that first day, and together we grieved our losses. We lost Jim Pfeifenberger, a freshman that first year, due to a terrible football accident. We were like your charity house, in that we volunteered at hospitals, we tutored, we created a library at an after-school center, which we talked about today. We both, Chaminade and Carol, helped to set up the Dakota Street Center. We were given and set examples like Gonzaga House. We had the best of the best in education, taught by the best of the best from 6 orders of nuns and priests. We began to understand what social justice was about in the 60s, just as Mercy House does today. We celebrated the first Catholic president being elected, and we mourned his assassination while we were in high school. We looked at the civil rights movement, the Selma March, and integration in a way that our parents hadn't. We started talking about inclusion, equity, and integration, like St. Mary's House. We reached out believing that there was goodness and justice in the world. We were active in that mission, and I remember being actively involved. We began to see that we could make the world a better place by stepping up. And finally, we definitely espoused the beliefs of Trinity House. We had integrity. We believed strongly in upholding our Christian values and living up to the life that our parents had sacrificed for us. We had solidarity. We were too small not to act as one in comparison to Chaminade and Julianne and St. Joseph's. We were never afraid to say we are Carol. This year or any of those previous years. We received a great education here at Carroll. We developed great friends, many of whom still are with us after 60 years. And I am proud to say I graduated in 1965, the first graduating class of Carroll High School.
Jacob Burdick is representing Mercy House. And he welcomes our next inductee, Christine Rafalco, class of 1972. Christine is a retired senior financial professional with 44 years of experience in commercial and investment banking, with proven ability to develop and execute strategic initiatives on short deadlines. She concluded her career as managing director of wealth management at the Bank of New York Mellon. She spent a large portion of her career in real estate, financing skyline-defining office buildings, and advising foreign investors in U.S. real estate. She received numerous awards for excellence in leadership, teamwork, flexibility, and professionalism, including the Bank of New York Management Awards for establishing a temporary environment and related recovering efforts in the aftermath of 9/11. She is extremely proud to have given extraordinary philanthropic support to Carroll High School and to have continued to contribute time volunteering at many community organizations, especially with Mount Sinai Hospital, and has worked with committees to provide business management counseling to fledgling art organizations. Christine received her Bachelor of Science in Business, majoring in finance from Miami University in Oxford. She received her continuing education certificate in art business from New York University. Please welcome Christine Rafalco.
Thank you, Mr. Sobieski and Mrs. Bilby. It is a joy to be back here again at Carroll this alumni weekend, especially on such an occasion and among fellow distinguished alumni. The arrangements for the entire weekend are beautifully organized, and many thanks to everyone whose efforts made it a special occasion. But it's a real treat to address the student body of our future fellow alumni. We have been asked to share how our time at Carroll led to our accomplishments, along with some of our special memories. But here's the trick. How is that possible in only 3 to 5 minutes? Carroll offers you more than you might realize, and memories are forever. To be at Carroll High School for both my junior and senior year was a lucky circumstance for me and a privilege. When I mentioned to my mother, who's here today, that I had been given this tremendous honor, she told me the story of how when we moved here, which was in October, almost exactly 51 years ago, my father just insisted that we come here, and I'm so glad that he did. This was, including kindergarten, this was my 10th school. We didn't have uniforms. My sister and I were here. We didn't have uniforms. As Mrs. Loach explained, we stood out, and everyone could tell we were new. But we were warmly welcomed by students and faculty alike, and that set the stage for us to dive in, and indeed we did. One of the singular most important aspects of Carroll High School is the people and the environment they have created. The faculty gave us all the attention and encouragement to strive to learn more, try new things, strive for better results, and accomplish all we could. They created an environment that nourished critical thinking and habits of study and exploration, which in turn led us to experience the satisfaction of a job well done. Never could there be a better lesson than to be so universally applied to all we do. Just to add to Mrs. Lowe's experience, she mentioned the boys were over here and the girls were over here. Well, my junior year was the first year that we were all mixed. So we had mixed classes, but I didn't realize that until like my 20th reunion. So it was kind of interesting. But while you're here, absorb as much as possible. Listen, take it all in, and not to be too much of a hurry to move on to the next thing. Enjoy the learning process. Savor, even celebrate achievements, however small, along the way. It's a vital part of education and in enjoying life. Make friends along the way, be thankful and kind, and recognize and celebrate the achievements of others as well as your own. Achievements in your academics, certainly, but also in all you do. Any sports fans here, right? So, in my year, class of 72, I have a favorite memory to share. Our football team was undefeated. Yes, they were very, very good. and Coach Spurl brought us out the best in the team. Even better, in the last game of the season, the players traded playing positions, and they won 64-0. Yeah, we weren't really happy. We wanted them to win 72-0 for our class, but you can't have everything. But what a celebration. Go Carol. Any music fans? So Showboat and Carousel were our school musicals those years. The casts were terrific and featured talents we may never have known otherwise. What an opportunity for all involved. Some of those songs are still my favorites, particularly You'll Never Walk Alone. Renee Fleming's rendition of it at a 9/11 tribute will bring tears to your eyes. Or maybe Judy Garland's might be more famous, but to hear it on our own stage and maybe even sing it on the school bus, there's nothing like it. You might think life will take you on a trajectory to success without fail, and would that it were so. No one here today would venture to say has had that experience. There will be setbacks, even reversals, but have confidence that you have the tools to overcome those challenges, the imagination to find another way, and the perseverance to prevail. Two famous quotes come to mind. Winston Churchill is quoted as saying, "Never give up." This came at a crucial point in history, and it carried the day. And as a famous basketball coach, John Wooden, has said, "Don't let what you can't do prevent you from doing what you can." Likely he meant that as an alternate basketball strategy or move, but it applies to everything that you do. So whether it's sports, music, science, arts, history, English, the most important lesson, though, by far, is to specifically identify where to concentrate your energy, your time, and attention. Figure out what drives your interest most, what you would jump hurdles to do, where your heart is. If you can be enthusiastic about a topic, then that should not only be your avocation, but it should be your life's work. How do you figure that out? How you figure out that area of interest might not always be easy. What skills will you need? Do you have them? Can you acquire them? Pay attention to what interests you when you read. Look for clues in what you do that might clarify it for you. Your discipline might take you far, but your enthusiasm will ensure your success. Real pleasure and enjoyment in what you do. To me, that is the secret of this school. It will help you do that. It's all out there to play for. You are here gaining the tools to succeed. One of my special memories is serving on student council as innovative committee chair and working with Father Nyheisel and the faculty, really everyone, to create the first Innovative Day, our career day. I don't know, did they still do career day? Yeah. This school-wide event is a perfect example of what encourages students and introduces them to new areas to explore. We invited all sorts of guests, policemen, bankers, medical professionals, and reporters, to name a few. The people in typing class typed the thank you notes, the band and the drill team performed at assembly. It was a great day and a school-wide effort. One conversation with a guest speaker stands out to me. At the time, strong statements were being made in the press about activities underway at Wright-Patterson Air Force Base, where my father was Air Base Wing Commander. Our guest, a reporter, had written some of those articles. He came up to me and asked if I knew who he was and why had I invited him. And I answered, someone might want to become a reporter. It didn't matter, what his opinion. He didn't expect that. But this wasn't an event to play favorites. This was an event to explore career ideas and learn what is possible. And indeed, we do have graduates who are successful in all sorts of media, news reporting, and similar roles, as well as many other walks of life. So maybe Career Day inspired them. To be honored as Patriot of the Year in 1972 was a recognition that was completely unexpected, but one I cherish above almost any other that I have received later in life. To be here now, honored as a distinguished alumni, is humbling. And after a lifetime of pursuing all sorts of interests, when I reflect on how it was all possible, it boils down to positive attitude, critical thinking, faith, confidence to explore the unknown, to try new things, and the perseverance to see it through. The foundations are rooted in strong education, good vocabulary, critical thinking, and faith. My hope for you, our Carroll Patriots, is that you will enjoy the same wonderful experience, programs, and learning environment, that you carry away lifelong memories. We have been so fortunate and blessed to have our faculty and administration. We are in good hands. Several years ago, my first high school, St. Vincent's Academy, also a beloved institution, abruptly closed. It had been an integral part of the community for 120 years, with generations of families having attended. It was unthinkable to me that this might ever happen to Carroll. It makes me appreciate Carroll all the more and continue to applaud and support its programs and approach to education. Carroll is enjoying its 60th year, and it's up to us to ensure it continues. So my very best wishes to you all in all you do. Work hard, explore, persevere, celebrate, and may you find what truly inspires you. Just think, one day you might find yourself up here explaining to others your own brand of magic and what worked for you. So go Patriots.
Great words of wisdom. Our next inductee ambassador is Vivian Dow from Trinity House. Dr. Stephen Blatt, MD, FACP, class of 1977, is the Infectious Disease Medicator Director and System Chief for Medical Specialties at Tri Health in Cincinnati. Early in his career, he was the primary investigator for the United States Air Force HIV Natural History Study and did groundbreaking HIV/AIDS research with investigators at the National Institutes of Health that helped define the natural history of HIV infection and host immune response to this devastating pathogen. These studies led to the Foundation for Drug Trials and have subsequently changed HIV from a death sentence to a manageable chronic illness. Dr. Blatt later taught internal medicine, resident at Good Samaritan Hospital in Cincinnati, where he has maintained an active infectious disease consulting practice, focusing on the prevention of healthcare-associated infections. He is most proud of his work with Comboni Missionaries, with whom he started a nonprofit organization to provide education, healthcare, and economic development in Uganda. His most recent project is working with Engineers Without Borders to install a water filtration and pumping system to provide safe, clean water to the village. He has a long list of publications, lectures given, committees served, and awards received. He received his Bachelor of Science degree from the University of Notre Dame and his medical degree from the University of Cincinnati College of Medicine. Please welcome Dr. Stephen Blatt.
Good morning, Carroll High School. And let's hear it for Trinity.
I'd first like to thank the committee, who I had absolutely no idea that I would even be considered for this amazing and humbling award. It's still shocking to me, so I really appreciate the committee and all of Carroll High School for providing this award for me, and especially to you, the students, who carry on the traditions and the spirit of Carroll High School, which you guys don't realize what a gift this is. There's so much energy in this room. I just can't believe it. It's amazing. So let's hear it again. Go Carroll! It's truly energizing. So when I was sitting in your seat 45 years ago today, there was no internet, there were no cell phones. We listened to music on vinyl records, which I hear is a thing again. There were 8-track tapes, which nobody can find. And the disease now known as AIDS was unknown to the world at that time. Gerald Ford was president right after Richard Nixon resigned, and the swine flu vaccine was being rolled out to try and stave off what was perceived as a possible impending flu pandemic. Well, you guys know a little bit about pandemics now. Fortunately, we didn't really have a swine flu pandemic at that time, but you're living one now. The changes that you will see in your lifetime will be completely unpredictable. You'll need to expect the unexpected and be highly adaptable in order to thrive and survive in this ever more changing world. In my mind, your best strategy is to get the best education possible, and Carroll High School will provide that gift for you. As Louis Pasteur, the father of modern microbiology, said, "Chance favors the prepared mind." Now is your chance to prepare your mind to be successful at whatever you want to do. You can never predict where life will take you, so be open to new possibilities. Don't be afraid to take a chance when one presents itself. Carroll will have prepared you to compete with anyone, anywhere in the world, so be confident and don't sell yourself short. Time moves fast, and it seems like just yesterday that I was here at Carroll, sitting in chemistry class, being taught by Mr. Sens, who would later be the principal here. His quiet demeanor and confidence served me well in college when I was sweating it out at chemistry as a chemistry major at Notre Dame. All the faculty here at Carroll were instrumental in providing me with the background that I needed to be successful in my career, and I cannot thank them enough. When you get home tonight, thank your parents for providing this fantastic educational opportunity for you. You too will find that Carroll will have provided you with all the tools you need to change the world, so it's your chance to go out and do it. Certainly one of the best memories of high school was the music that we listened to, so I thought I would provide you with a little finale of Fleetwood Mac's Go Your Own Way, which came out when I was a senior here. And they tell me that Fleetwood Mac is enjoying a resurgence of popularity among high school students now, so here it is. Well, maybe. So my message to you is go your own way, take Carroll with you, and you're going to do well. Thanks.
Can't go wrong with a little Fleetwood Mac. Come on. Claire Lamel is serving as the ambassador for St. Mary's House for our next inductee, Elizabeth Scowron, class of 1984. Dr. Scowron is a professor in the Department of Psychology at the University of Oregon, where she directs the Family Biobehavioral Lab in the Center for Translational Neuroscience. She also serves as the president of the University's Senate. She studies the effects of early adverse experiences on the development of emotional regulation and self-control in children to support family preservation. Her research has been funded by the National Institute of Health and the National Institute on Drug Abuse, and she also serves on several National Institutes of Health grant renewal panels. She has received numerous awards, including the U.S. Fulbright Scholar to Ireland, has participated in national and international presentations and addresses, and has written over 53 research publications. She received her Bachelor of Science in Psychology from The Ohio State University and her PhD in Counseling Psychology from the University of Albany State University of New York, and her postdoctoral fellowship in Clinical Child Psychology at the University of California, San Francisco. She served on the faculty at the University of Wisconsin and Penn State University before joining the University of Oregon in 2012. She is a licensed psychologist in the state of Oregon. Dr. Scowron could not attend today's event, but please welcome her brother and also Carroll graduate, class of 1987, Jim Scowron, to speak on her behalf.
Good morning, everybody. It really is a great day to be a Patriot. The interesting thing was this was the first time I walked up the front steps in 34 years, and it's also the first time I ever parked in front of the school where somebody didn't say, "Hey, you need to move your car." But anyway, just looking at me as well, you can tell that lunch is still my favorite period of the day. But anyway, thank you so much for having me here. A big congratulations to everybody in the Distinguished Alumni Hall of Fame. Claire Lamel, House of St. Mary's, thanks for being the host. Where's St. Mary's at? Very good, very good. So I am so proud to be here today to represent my big sister Elizabeth, but I am just absolutely heartbroken that the day before she was scheduled to leave to come here, traveling all the way from the University of Oregon, she did develop symptoms of COVID-19 and had to bow out being here. She so wanted to be here to celebrate with all of you and to talk with each of you. And after having it postponed last year and getting ready to leave on Wednesday to come here to enjoy the weekend, it's just, I'm heartbroken for her, but I'm proud to be here to represent her. So with Elizabeth, Elizabeth growing up had really an incredible gift to swim fast. And she was actually able to use that talent to earn herself a scholarship to Ohio State University. But it's her education at Carroll and the foundation that she received here that allowed her to take her career to a whole nother level and really pursue her real dream, which was rebuilding the family and just making sure that the family becomes as strong as it possibly can, because strong families make strong communities. And that was very, very important to her. And she was able to use the education that she got here to be able to go all the way to get her PhD in counseling psychology and get her where she's at today in this humble honor to be recognized by the high school that she absolutely loved being a part of. And I know that she's very, very appreciative of the honor and really, really glad that I was able to be here to represent her. I just want to also say thank you so much to the entire staff here, as well as the alumni committee, for making me feel so welcome to be here for Elizabeth. And I really believe Elizabeth, if she had a message to each of you, whether you're an incoming freshman, a sophomore, a junior, or a soon-to-be graduating senior, it really is to find your passion and pursue it with all of your heart. And the thing is, being here at Carroll, it's giving you a foundation to be able to pursue those dreams with a passion and really take on a world out there that has unlimited possibilities for you. And so on behalf of her and myself, we certainly say God bless each of you and keep you safe as you take that journey. Thank you again.
Michael Dupro from Baltimore is the ambassador for our next inductee, Colonel Urban Gillespie, class of 1986. Colonel Gillespie is a space systems program manager at the Massachusetts Institute of Technology's Lincoln Laboratory, where he develops novel space-controlled solutions to ensure the United States' continued use of space for civil and military purposes. He retired from the United States Air Force in 2014 after 24 years of service. His Air Force career included operations and staff positions in Air Force Space Command, National Reconnaissance Office responsible for the first ever launch of an on-orbit checkout of a new $1.5 billion spacecraft, Air Force Secretariat, Missile Defense Agency, and the U.S. Pacific Command. Twice selected for command, he led a space operations squadron, and we're just going to keep going, and a space launch division where he was mission director for NASA's LADEE Lunar Orbiter spacecraft. He received his Bachelor of Science in Electrical Engineering from the University of Notre Dame and his Master's of Business Administration from Honolulu's Chaminade University. He then attended the Naval Postgraduate School and completed his Master of Science in Electrical Engineering. He later received his Master of Science in Military Operational Art and Science from Air Force University of Master of Science in National Resource Strategy and National Defense University. So many things. Please welcome Colonel Urban Gillespie.
Good morning. So this isn't speech class, so I get to do what I want. I'm going to put out my notes and everything else. This is emotional. It's emotional to be here. So first of all, I'd like to thank the committee and the Alumni Association for everything you guys do for supporting this. I definitely want to say thanks and congratulations to all the other inductees. I want to say thank you to Michael. It's been great to be part of Baltimore. And I also want to say thanks to all the administration, the teachers and staff here at Carroll High School, because you truly are doing God's work. So I'm standing between you and whatever's next. I'm not sure, so I can go long or I can keep it short. I'll try to keep it short. Crowd has spoken. All right. So as I stand here today, I'm reminded of a famous quote that was given by retired Navy Admiral James Stockdale. He was participating in a vice presidential debate, and when he was asked for his introductory remarks, he looked into the camera and he deadpanned, "Who am I? Why am I here?" And at the time, he sounded a little bit addled and more than a bit confused. Today, I feel a little bit like Admiral Stockdale. So in the short time that I have with you today, I'm going to try and tell you what was special about Carroll High School and my experiences here and what helped maybe lead me to be here with you today. So 3 examples really stand out. The first one is that I was a very enthusiastic and very nerdy participant in the annual science fairs. Absolutely loved it. The second thing that really was one of the hallmark experience for me was that I was fortunate enough to play for the legendary Coach Spurl in football and legendary Coach Hemmert in baseball. But I can pretty much guarantee you that you won't see me back here anytime soon for the Athletic Hall of Fame. And finally, I also wanted to let you know I experienced the crucible of leadership as president of the student council my senior year. A little story about that. But these 3 examples come to mind not necessarily because of any specific success or failure, but because how they shaped my life philosophy for the next 35 years. So I'll start with the first, the science fairs. Ever since I was a wee little lad, I've always had a huge, genuine love for science, understanding why things are the way they are. It's a true passion. And here at Carroll, I was very fortunate to have some outstanding science teachers, Mrs. Hine, Mr. Johnson, Mr. Steinmetz, that challenged and encouraged me to pursue this particular passion and pursue it particularly through individual research. And in the process, I learned a few immutable truths that are applicable to science, but they're applicable to life just as well. And the first one is finding a good and challenging problem to work on is often more important than getting to the right solution. The other thing I learned was that failure happens a lot, and it should be expected, and to be fairly honest, it should be embraced. It's the best way to learn. And then lastly, you often end up with more questions than you started with. And that fuels the never-ending cycle of learning that you're going to continue beyond the halls of Carroll. In athletics, I got the opportunity to taste victory and defeat, perhaps a bit more of the latter than I would prefer. But I loved the start of every new season. I loved wiping away all the past mistakes, starting 0-0, undefeated. And I loved the camaraderie we had on and off the field. But most importantly, I enjoyed the opportunity of being something larger than myself. And finally, I've saved sort of the last little experience save the best one for the last one. Or it could be the worst, depending on your perspective. Because my experience as student council president left a very lasting impression on me that stays with me to this day. While we had a very fantastic student council set of moderators, and Mr. Rakel, Ms. Carol Lacombe, and fortunately, we also had a very capable staff of students that ran the committees, thank God. But I had no practical experience in leadership, and I was in way over my head. And I mean, if there was ever a case for an election recall, I was it. We had a Carroll retreat, or a student council retreat with a bunch of other schools from the conference that we had at the time. It was up in the library, and it didn't go very well. And I recall having a very sobering one-way discussion with Mr. Sens in the third floor men's room about the obligations and responsibilities of a leader. Memorable. So with those three stories about the science fairs, playing on the athletic fields, and student council, I want to leave you with a message today that's essentially threefold. The first, and you've heard it before, is find your passions and pursue them with abandon. They will lead you to places that you could not even imagine. The second thing I want to leave you with is be active in a community, any community, be it athletics, social, or spiritual. But find something that is bigger than yourself. And find something that demands you to sacrifice a part of yourself for the greater good. And finally, do everything to the best of your ability. You have the right to fail. And that's what makes this country great. But you do not have the right to cause other people to fail because you did not give everything you have, and that you didn't do it to the best of your ability. When you join with a spouse, when you have a family, when you join an organization or a team or a business, you have obligations and responsibilities, and you owe it to everyone to give it your best to everything and to your ability. In my experience, the years here at Carroll do not necessarily define you. You all have many, many years of exciting, challenging, joyous, life-changing experiences in front of you. But the values, the character, and the Christian faith that you guys are developing here today will become the foundation that you build upon. And that foundation, combined with how you respond to all those life challenges, that will define the person you do become. So I'm humbled to be here with you today, and as always, but especially today, I am proud to be a Carroll Patriot. Thank you.
We are the to our last inductee. I'm going to read a little bit about him. He's not able to be here today. But our last inductee, whose official escort is Pamela Olivas from Charity House, is Mr. Michael Sticka. He's a graduate of the class of 2000. And I can say I had the great pleasure of teaching him, but since he's not here, let me tell you a crazy story about him. So one day, no, I'm just kidding. I'm not really going to tell you a crazy story about him. But he has led the Grammy Museum since 2018, first as executive director and now as president. He's responsible for creating and executing the museum's strategy of growth and sustainability as an independent, nonprofit arts organization. Michael leads all the museum's curatorial, educational, artistic relations and programming, as well as international licensing and use of globally recognized brand. Michael previously served as the Grammy Museum's controller and senior director of finance administration, where he led the museum's integration with the Grammy Foundation in 2017. Within the first year of his leadership, he raised more than $5.5 million to renovate and upgrade the museum in Los Angeles, and has significantly expanded its programs in multiple music cities throughout the country. His love of the arts and dedication to community started in Dayton. Prior to that, he was a consultant for Blackbaud Incorporated, and he worked with over 200 nonprofits throughout North America. Committed to his alma mater as well, Michael and his partner, Dr. Brian Kim, helped create an endowment fund at Carroll High School, generously giving of their resources with the hope of encouraging others to help sustain Carroll's future. Michael received his Bachelor of Arts degree in economics from the University of Dayton and lives in Los Angeles, California. And she might show it to you later. He sent Pamela a really cool swag bag of Grammy Museum stuff. I know, she kind of wins. Okay, so that's the end of all of our inductees. Please give everybody one more great round of applause.